We are going to be starting up the evening with Old and Gold versus Get Stuffed. So, hopefully, you're all excited. I don't get too many heroic games because there's significantly less heroic teams and storm teams. So, hopefully, you're all excited and ready for this series. We'll be starting things off pretty shortly. We got everyone in the room ready to go. We're just waiting for the bio break to pass. But we'll be kicking things off in Tomb of the Spider Queen. So, Tomb of the Spider Queen is definitely one of the smallest maps in the game where macro is less relevant, but optimizing how you play the map, which is definitely a form of macro, is very critical on Tomb of the Spider Queen, especially because of how the web weavers are traditionally considered one of the weaker objectives in the game in comparison to other maps, where they basically will not end the game for you in the majority of circumstances. They help you attempt to win the game, which might seem silly, that phrasing, but if you have an immortal, the immortal will end the game on its own. Web weavers will very likely never end the game on their own. So keep that in mind when you are playing your own Tomb of the Spider game. Tomb of the Spider Queen games. There we go. So it'll be interesting to see how a team like Old and Gold and Get Stuff do. I actually need to flip them around. It's yeah, that also means Get Stuff logo is on the wrong side. So I'll have to flip that over real fast. As clearly Get Stuff's logo should not be for Old and Gold. Production value live, baby. That's how we do it. There we go. All fixed and ready to go. I'm still waiting for the bio to come back. So it'll be interesting to see how the meta has changed for teams that are of the heroic and storm division. Largely because there was a lot of opportunity to watch the Western Clash, see how teams played with the balance patch of Raynor and Asmodee, and that will probably influence some of the amateur teams significantly. Things like teams thinking Asmodee might be good. Well, at the higher levels, a lot of people clearly don't agree with that. They consider him a non-factor in competitive play, largely because he has a very weak early game, and a weak early game will be much harder to recover from. And so a lot of people won't even bother picking him up. Okay, we're now having some technical issues. One guy's internet just cut out. We're all in the lobby. I mean, they will have to take a forfeit if the guy's internet does not come back on, and if they're not willing to wait this out, Get Stuffed. Well, UC has dropped and he's the captain, so we'll have to so yeah, I hope there's all right, so I'm going to start the timer now. I'm going to double check the rules on Nexus. Although, there we go. Is it 10 minutes? this is an interesting scenario because of the fact that this is right before we started the draft. For team, so this is in between where they actually had all five ready. So normally the rule is that if your team's more than 15 minutes late, um, they're not late by more than 15 minutes, but well, they are definitely now past the 10-15 point for technically starting the game. Well, of course, like you have to give a little time. They showed up a little late for the flip, but I'm going to put it at 10 minutes, which is the normal disconnect time. And that's the normal disconnect time for drafts as well. So hopefully a lot of people have learned from the Western Clash heroes that are good and heroes that are not so good. Uh, like you'll see a ton of Greymane play, and he's actually not that good in the current meta. He's very hard to use effectively and gets heavily punished by teams who have drafted generally more meta picks. So things like a Urel, she is highly effective for knocking the Worgen around. She can trade very well, and with usually another CC tank, well, it's hard for Greymane to really trade up in a lot of cases. It'll work well with like certain combos, things like a Cursed Bullet combo, but you have to play him in a very different way. So I'd like to see teams either prioritize heroes like Maiev, Phoenix higher than some of the lower divisions tend to do, or just ban out some of those stronger heroes like the Maiev and the Phoenix, who have very, very good kits, along with generally, they outperformed, I'd say, other heroes at the Western Clash with above 60% win rates simultaneously. Now, we're still sitting and waiting. It's only been 4 minutes since he has disconnected, so he still has another 6 minutes to go. Now, the biggest thing I got from the Western Clash, and I really advise people to go take a look at masterleague.net. Has lots of good information about the meta, the builds, the win rates, all those things that you should know when learning to play the game competitively. It is an insanely valuable tool to be able to learn by mimicking. And sometimes mimicking is the best way for you to understand why a comp is good. And so mimicking is a great starting point, and the clashes are great places to go to learn that. So things like Diablo, very popular. Urel, insanely popular. Medivh, well, Medivh is an interesting twist. Medivh's partially popular because he enables teams to play safer. He enables a disengage that is very untraditional, unlike everything else, and it's a very safe disengage. And he additionally provides vision, which makes it much harder for your team to be out rotated, for you to misplay the situation by not knowing where the enemy is. The same thing for your enemy team. They cannot make necessarily aggressive invades or do things without the man advantage, because the Medivh might spot him out, which then alerts everyone else on the team to come and run over and fight. So Medivh is definitely an oddball, and I still think, even though he had a high popularity, it's largely because of the effectiveness for messing up strategies for the enemy team, which is why he's so popular to ban. His actual win rate was only 42% when he was picked up, which means he only saw play in 7 games, and effectively had a non-positive win rate. But I think he still has a place in a lot of drafts. People should definitely think about it, but it's not popular largely because of how powerful he is. It's popular because of how he basically disables enemy strategy. All right, he's coming back. He's here. So we should be able to get this party going here right now. Just waiting for get stuffed. All right, guys. So we're gonna get this party started. Like I said, we're gonna head on over into Tomb of the Spider Queen. We're gonna kick it on into draft. So party and the party boat is definitely here. Spoiler alert for the delay. Darn, ruining 2-minute delay. Ruined that excitement. So Tomb of the Spider Queen in every map is about rotations in wave clear to some degree or other. And Tomb of the Spider Queen, you have to have very tight rotations, otherwise you're going to start losing gems. And if you start losing gems, you start falling behind the ability to turn in. And if you start falling behind, that also means potential structure damage. That also means potential to turn in. And we're going to see the Phoenix banned immediately on the side of Old and Gold. Now, that's definitely a good ban. I did just mention how it's a very effective hero, and on the other side, we are going to see get stuffed and take out the Genji. Now, Genji is still relevant, but he's seeing a lot less play because of the triple bans. The triple bans effectively make it really easy for them to just take out a hero you don't like playing with, in which in this case is, well, Genji. Most people hate dealing with a Genji, despite his changes. Right. Okay. Now, the Diablo ban, another very meta ban, especially in Tomb of the Spider Queen. This is a great map for Devils 2. There's a ton of globes here, and so taking out a Diablo is a highly effective strategy in draft. And the Rainer, well, Rainer is still fairly scary. So nonetheless, a ban on Rainer is definitely a safe ban. We will have Old and Gold starting things off on this map, as they have first pick, opted for it as they won the coin toss. Get stuffed chose Tomb of the Spider Queen. So Johanna is highly effective tanky tank that has great wave clear on this map. Interestingly, we're going to get Deckard Cain and Tracer coming on out. There's a lot less Tracer play in general because of Deckard Cain. If we look at Assassins, a Tracer was only had the popularity of 23%. She had a non-positive win rate with 42%. at the Western Clash. And if we look at Tracer and matches and what game she actually was in, we're going to see Dignitas pick up. Sorry, we had leftovers with a Tracer with Malfurion. We have Tracer with Alexstrasza. Let's see who else we have. Tracer with Karazim and a Tassadar. Also a Tassadar in the other Tracer game. And leftovers were primarily the ones who were busting it out. We also had Team Freedom player with Karazim. Tracer with an Abathur by Heroes Hearth. And so, yeah, we aren't seeing too many Decker Canes with Tracers because of the interaction of how she plays, which is, if you have a Malfurion, she's basically getting constant healing and can avoid a lot of damage. And she'll be healing up during that. A Tassadar, well, she basically regens up from her autos. Deckard Cain, on the other hand, well, if she moves too far away, Deckard can't reach her with a heal, and she's not going to get healing over time while she's nowhere near her support. Now, we got the Blaze and Uther. The Uther is really scary to me as someone who would be on the other team of Get Stuck. I'd be concerned with why the Uther pick. They have to be doing something bonkers. Maybe a Kerrigan is going to come out, because Kerrigan, Uther, a pull into D-Storm, maybe that's what they're looking for here, or maybe the Divine Shield onto Kerrigan. There's a bunch of strategies that can be old school here. Genji is not available, so you obviously are not getting a Dragon Strike Genji. This is very odd. We're getting a Thrall and a Hanzo from Olds and Gold. So Blaze will be in the bot lane. The wave clear out of Olds and Gold is going to be very poor, because in comparison, Gul'dan is going to do a great job of actually clearing up these waves, unlike Thrall and Hanzo, who, well, Hanzo needs to hit level 4 in order to actually wave clear. They don't need to hit any level. They could be level 0 and Gul'dan will wave clear. Now, of these two drafts, I'm liking Get Stuff Strapped a little bit better. I'm not necessarily a fan of the Deckard with the Tracer, but I think overall their draft is more potentially potent, if you will. They have the triple frontline, which has become much more popular in the meta on the side of Old and Gold. I don't quite get the Uther pickup here. Is this a full auto Thrall with a D shield? Is that what they're going for? Because it's still an oddball. It's still quite an oddball combo on the side of Old and Gold. So I'm going to give it to Get Stuff's draft. I like it much more. Now, the Tracer is going to have a little bit of a hard time finding a squishy body, such as the Thrall isn't too bad, but he will still be able to self-heal. We have Uther and Hanzo as your best bets. I'm guessing the Uther D-Shield is mostly for the bomb. That's the only thing I can really think about as the choice for Uther, but it feels like you're intentionally gimping your support by trying to counter just a bomb. All right, we are in the game, and we'll see how this plays out. But like I said, I'm giving this over in terms of draft right over to Get Stuffed. We're going to have a Battle Jet 86i on that Gul'dan, Dragon King on the Muradin, Mokri on the Tracer. We got John Knight 1 on the Urel, and finally we got Drinkin' Run 152, a very appropriate name for a Decker Cain. And that'll be Get Stuffed. On the other side, we got Huggernaut on the Blaze, Ducey on the Johanna, Praetor on the Thrall, Toma on the Hanzo, and finally Negan. We are all Negan on the Uther, and that's going to be Old and Gold. So traditional footsie fight happening mid. Taking a look at what talents we have available. We are going to get the Echoed Corruption and the Third Wind, the Maraud's Insight, along with the Sapphire and Pulse Strike. Other side, we're getting Neural Stim Pack, Hold Your Ground, and Echo of Elements alongside Silver Touch and Simple Geometry. I'm not sure how I actually feel about Hold Your Ground here. I guess it makes sense. I think it's mostly a viable pick against Maiev and Garrosh. A ton of damage coming out into Praetor. Tracer going on in, missing that bomb, and a lot of traded up damage on the side of Old and Gold, dumping it onto that Tracer. In the meantime, so in the bot lane, we have that 1v1 with Yrel and Blaze. Looking pretty good overall right now. And, well, they are up very, very little on the rotations. But remember, the real key here is how BattleJet does on his Echo Corruption. Already 12 of 40, a minute and 30 seconds into the game. That's pretty good overall. We got Thrall rotating back on up, getting them stacks of Echo of the Elements, and getting it is really critical. A pretty good trade there overall by Praetor onto Tracer. He did slap her in the face with his Doomhammer. Of course, if you played World of Warcraft, you would know how much of a pansy Thrall has become. Basically gave up the Doomhammer, and well, you got to wield it instead as a shaman in World of Warcraft. In the bot lane, taking a look how that's going, it's pretty even for the most part. Nothing special happening here. Yrel should be able to hold it a little bit better, and in the meantime, 28 to 24. What we should see from Get Stuff is turning as much as they can. Dragon King is going to be doing that right now, as they have a ton of space on the map created, as they've shoved in all these waves. And like I said, they have the superior wave clear in part thanks to the Gul'dan. And well, that gives them opportunity to go and basically turn this in. Ooh, a lot of stacks for BattleJet there. He is now at 22 of 40, and well, he's more than halfway there. But Dragon King taking a lot of damage. It's going to be first blood. The bomb does go onto Negan, and a counter kill by Mokri will be on point. So very good rotation from Mokri to come on down, poke down Negan, identify a soft, squishy target, and send him to the afterlife, or the ghost life, as Uther has two lives, the ghost life and the normal life. Bomb should be ready to go here very shortly, and we should have Simple Geometry nearly completed, along with Silver Touch and Echo of the Elements about halfway there. Nice stun from Dragon King, keeping Ducey from going on in, but the Condemn is on point. The Iron Skin has been popped as well, but the rest of his team is not following him. So a lot of damage coming on to Ducey, and with no Iron Skin, we get Tracer coming on in deep. Will not be able to secure the kill, and we'll have to back on out. The blind will prevent Tracer from getting any more damage for now, but Drink and Run is doing exactly that, trying to get out of dodge. BattleJet doing a great job of soaking up the damage before Drink and Run will eat it to the face. So nice interrupt from Dragon King. Praetor just eating that damage for free. Like, you can't do that, Praetor. Gotta have your team there, especially when Tracer just free farming you for getting recharged bomb. Bot lane, well, John Knight's pushed that bad boy in, and Juggernaut, well, he's not going to be able to interrupt, but it's not going to really matter all that much, as the top has been turned in by Get Stuffed. So Mokri trying to get the damage out, poke, and be as annoying as possible. Dragon King coming on in. They won't be able to accomplish that much. We do have BattleJet coming on up to the top lane, so he should be sieging this up very heavily. He is almost done with the Echo Corruption. Next stacks basically will finish this, and his siege potential and damage potential is going to be absolutely bonkers coming on up here. And with Dagger King zoning him out with that Scroll of Identity, pretty much no way for them to run forward without getting the potential of getting caught in the Echoed Corruption. Oh, Toma is super low. We'll be able to survive here. He should be tapped. Dragon King has a Tracer alongside of him, but it's not going to be good enough to get any kills at the moment. The bomb is available. Juicy should be able to get out. He's going back in, but he will pop the Iron Skin. Bomb should be coming up very shortly, and the Echo Corruption. Juicy way out of position, getting too aggressive without Praetor and Negan really to be there with him, and so they will trade up heavily, but Tracer almost going down there. A little too aggressive. So right now, Get Stuffed get a lot of a lead. A lot of a lead. Because they have a fort down, they have the walls down, they have a level advantage, which is shortly going to be a 2 level advantage. They have no walls in the mid lane, they have no walls in the bot lane. There's nothing for them to retreat to if another web weaver is gotten, which they're very close to doing right now. Already 35 is enough. They got them dumped in, and at this point Tracer's going to get the back-to-back, which is going to be absolutely huge for Get Stuffed. So at this point, taking a look, we have 20 stacks on the hammer, almost ready to go, still not completed. Simple geometry once again. Juicy coming on out, looking for the condemned. The Echo Corruption is online now, and that is going to dish out some damage, but not quite enough. Tracer has to be a little bit careful right now. Does have the shield and does get roughly 2 potions, take her from 50% to 75%. Web Weaver's coming on in. The top will push in for free. Dragon King, though, taking a lot of damage. Sailwell and Listen coming on up. The Horrifying Dragon King's back on the thick of things. And Negan will be first to drop. Walking his way face forward and taking it on the chin. Uther might be a paladin, but that's not what you want to do as a paladin. So they trade up pretty well here. Take a 4 and take a kill. This is looking very grim for Old and Gold right now. They're down. Level 10 is not close for them, which means they can continue sieging up. Top's been pushed in. We have Toma trying to get them 10. Mid is about to drop. Bot Web Weaver is about to go to you shortly, but it'll get some pressure on the wall. They should actually rotate down and look if someone were to be overly aggressive and out of position. John Knight is all alone right now, but will be safe to retreat as he does have that Divine Steed at level 7. So, a nice bush gang coming on out. Mokri trying to taunt on. There's a stun from Dragon King. Not going to get 2, but the Echo Corruption coming on in. Half-life for Praetor right now. He will smack the bearded dwarf in the face. The EQ coming on out. The Divine Shield on point. Double stun with the Dragon's Arrow. And stay a while and listen to your own demise as Get Stuffed is still looking for the Horrify coming on out. 3-man Horrify. A big old root, but they have taken a ton of damage in Old and Gold holding on. So no one going down there. A nice stun combo and a nice reverse Horrify. And the bunker drops there as well, alleviating any incoming damage temporarily, but no one goes down. That was pretty well executed on both sides. Now, if Old and Gold were the same level as Get Stuffed, I think they would have won that engagement, which you can see what happens when you start falling behind. Engagements that are close go in your opponent's favor because they have that advantage. And eventually, oh, a nice rotation up onto John Knight. John Knight doesn't have the Ardent Defender, and he will be going down. Welcome to Gank City in your rel. You've been sent to a gank space. Dragon King ascending on up, and they do have the level advantage, but this is fighting a man down. They should try to fight this still on the side of Old and Gold. Dragon King already chunked down to about half-life. Will miss that Stormbolt, and Tracer has been chunked down to half-life as well. They are still trying to look for it. The Corruption coming on in will chunk them a little bit, but not enough to call it a day yet. Dragon King will have to back up and have to use that third wind to get enough pressure. And with the engagement here, Mokri is just pressuring the snot out of Old and Gold. Juicy coming on in, and we got Sailball and Listen, but the Dragon's Arrow interrupting it immediately. They will not get the kill on Tracer, but Drink and Run has to do that immediately. The hop on over the wall, they have yet to get anything. The Divine Shield has come out as well, and it has not gotten them much value. They've held 5v4, poking them all day long. and pretty much winning that by basically keeping them from getting any value. So at this point, they're actually pushing into boss. But this is kind of scary. They do have Ardent Defender Avatar. Blessed Shield is up, but they don't have a lot of other heroics available. So the thing that's ultra scary is Tuma's here with his arrows. And that is a very tight space, which means a lot of those will actually land onto someone. Dragon King looking for the stun, going to whiff there, and Huggernaut will be out perfectly fine. The Iron Skin coming on out. There is nothing they can do yet. Dragon King coming on back in. We'll get Tuma. Tuma is going to get blown up. The bomb coming on out. The big root from the Scroll of Identity. Bunker will be going down here. And they have gotten a Juggernaut and a Praetor in a fatal mistake by Old and Gold. They lose basically all their gems. They've lost 3 members. Tuma too far forward, going down there rather quickly. They identify the fact that they have enough heroics available, that key heroics on the side of Old and Gold are not available, and now they get the boss. They walk away with a boss, and this is going to smash some keep face in, because there's only a single tower here. They still have Avatar, Ardent Defender. Horrify is now up. They don't have the Stay a While and Listen, but that's not going to really matter quite yet. They have enough time to wait out this fight, go a little bit slower, and then they can fight 15 versus 13, although they can just back out 2, not look for the keep, and just go somewhere else. But they're going to push on in 16, very, very close. Once they get this keep, and this will get them 16 guaranteed. And they might be able to get themselves a game here if they get some kills alongside of it. John Knight going on in. We'll see Negan coming on out in the root. But the turn onto John Knight. John Knight going too far forward, not getting the Ardent Defender out at all, and he will be going down. And in a strange twist of events, we'll have a beautiful trade by Mokri. And boys and girls, never underestimate a lone tracer. She comes on in, pops you a few times, drops a bomb, and you're as good as dead. So turn-in is available for Old and Gold. The problem is they cannot do anything with their turn-in, as they're going to be pushing in 16 versus 14. So they're almost better off holding on to all of their gems. If they turn in, the Web Weaver will basically do nothing. If they can soak to 16, well, they're better off. They basically need to soak as long as they can to try and remain relevant in the game. Dragon King going to be sitting in the bush. Juicy going to be smacking him in the face with that pool noodle. And Iron Skin has been popped really early, but the arrow from Tuma is going to be beautiful. Sail While and Listen going to come out, but now they're focusing on Drunken Run. The Blessed Shields come out as well. The Dragon Arrow landing only on Drunken Run, and so a lot of heroics burned once again, but not enough value for Old and Gold. John Knight looking for it once again, does have the Ardent Defender still available, but they are going to just back on offer now. They're looking for a re-engage here, it looks like. There's the Iron Skin going to be popped, and Juicy will get out just fine. A lot of damage coming out thanks to that arrow, and they are on top of Muradin like a peanut butter on jelly. And they get the kill on the Dwarf, and they are still looking for more, but Huggernaut is going to be going down along with Praetor, and even though they get him, they cannot withstand the onslaught that Get Stuffed is dishing out, and that is going to be a 5-man wipe, and that is going to be game. Let's check that out once again. All right, we're going to see the Scroll Identity come out, not going to get any value. They turn and blow up Muradin here, but the Echoed Corruption just does so much. They get into the bunker, but it doesn't matter. They're all so clumped up. You can see their health pools just instantly get demolished, and with that, Get Stuffed takes a game number 1. So, taking a look at some of these damage numbers, Toma had some great arrows. I mean, essentially, his arrow was what secured them to kill on Muradin. The problem is they didn't have other tools available to actually continue the fight and win it afterwards. Gul'dan 56k, 55k for Tracer, and you can see the net damage numbers drop drastically. Praetor only getting 42k. So if you're comparing damage here, it's basically in favor of Get Stuffed. If we're looking at healing numbers, a Decker Kane almost twice as much healing. If we're looking at tanking numbers, well, Get Stuffed once again wins that battle. Really, the Uther was a huge problem for him. You can see by 38k healing, he didn't heal enough to save anyone. Alex Straza would have been better with a life binder, and with a triple melee, they could get so much value out of Cleansing Flame. It'll drop on the heads of at least 2 people every single fight, and sorry, it should drop on the heads of 4 people at least. 2 of the frontliners for Old and Gold, and 2 of the frontliners on Get Stuffed. So it would have been Value Town there, much more healing output in general. So I'm still not sure why Uther was picked up here. And we'll be going to game 2. In the meantime, get ready for some of those highlights from the previous game. So sit on tight, and hopefully you've been enjoying the cast so far and the match.